Chosen one. They are so shocked right now, shook to their core, staring at the ashes of a scheme that was never meant to trap you, but to expose them. You can feel it, can't you? That shift in the spirit realm, the unraveling, the panic, the realization hitting them like a tidal wave they never saw coming. They thought they were operating in secret. They thought you were naive, unaware, confused. But the truth is roaring louder than ever. You were never the problem. They just couldn't handle your light. And now, the lights are on. Heaven flipped the switch, and all the cobwebs they tried to spin into your reality are getting caught in their own throat. What was done in darkness is now being dragged out into the open like a body on the lawn. No more whispers, no more fake concern, no more religious masks or fake spiritual jargon to hide behind. The game is over. The performance is canceled. And the ones who thought they had you figured out, they're looking around dazed, asking themselves, how did it all turn on me? If this resonates, let the others know you're here. Share your testimony. Let the collective know how your setback became your setup. Let them know how the betrayal became your breakthrough. Let them know that your silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. Let's get into it, because the ones who plotted your downfall are now being haunted by their own blueprints. The very mechanisms they use to control you, silence, you discredit, you are now caging them in. What once felt like power to them now feels like panic. You can feel it in the air. That sickened sensation of someone realizing their spiritual insurance just ran out. Their energy's off. Their luck's dried up. Their mask is melting. And now they're trying to escape a setup they walked into voluntarily. You were never their pawn. You were the divine litmus test, the soul trigger, the karmic catalyst they didn't see coming. And while they were too busy trying to study you, contain you, diminish you, God was writing the final scene. And guess what? It was never about your breakdown. It was about their reveal. The universe staged this entire act so they'd expose themselves, and baby, they did. Remember how they tried to turn the whole room against you with their half-truths and their whispered lies? Remember how they made you doubt yourself, gaslighting you into silence, using your compassion as a noose? All of it was logged in heaven's ledger. Not one tear went unrecorded. Not one psychic attack went unnoticed. Not one fake apology fooled the Most High. The angels didn't miss a second. And now they're the ones pacing at night, checking their phones, watching their alliances crumble. You feel it, don't you? That holy vindication, that sacred reversal. You're not even angry anymore. You're just still, calm, poised, watching it all play out like a movie heaven already previewed for you in a dream years ago. Because they didn't just attack a person, they touched an anointing. They tried to curse something that was covered. And in doing so, they signed themselves into a loop of exposure, confusion, and divine reversal. This isn't just justice, it's prophecy, and it's right on time. They thought you were soft, that your quiet nature meant you wouldn't fight back. But what they never understood is that you were never fighting them. You were transcending the whole arena. You took every stone they threw and built a foundation. Every insult became an upgrade. Every smear campaign became another confirmation that your presence was too powerful to be ignored. And now that same presence is making them sweat, because everywhere they look, the truth is bleeding out. The setups are unraveling. The roles have reversed. And what was supposed to be your ending was actually just the first trumpet of their unveiling. They're shocked, shaken, speechless, because this wasn't a setup for you. It was a setup through you. They never thought you'd survive the storm they sent. They thought the lies would stick, the rumors would spread, the isolation would break you down to nothing. But what they never accounted for was the divine misdirection. They thought they were calling the shots when really, they were being used by a higher power to position you right where heaven needed you to be. They thought you were the target, but spiritually you were the decoy. The whole time, the Most High was orchestrating a reversal so precise it would make the angels weep. Every word they spoke behind your back was recorded in a realm they can't manipulate. Every fake smile, every poisoned compliment, every scheme wrapped in concern, all of it was logged. And the misdirection masterful, because while they were busy throwing shade, trying to twist perception, heaven was flipping the script. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned, hidden in plain sight. You looked like you were falling apart, but that was just your spirit shedding old agreements. You looked like you were breaking down, but you were really being built up. And they couldn't see it, because all they could see was the illusion they created, not the glory that was about to burst through it. Remember when you kept asking why? Why it seemed like the more you loved, the more they hated. Why it felt like being kind was a liability that wasn't weakness. Chosen one, that was clarity. That was heaven's misdirection. You were never meant to win their approval. You were meant to expose their allegiance. And now that the curtain's pulled back, they're gasping for air in a story they can't control anymore. See, the thing about divine setups is that they don't look like setups at first. They look like chaos, like abandonment, like betrayal. But in the background, the Most High is building a case so bulletproof, even their demons can't deny it. And now the misdirection has reversed. You're not the one under scrutiny anymore, they are. It's all catching up. The shady conversations, the triangulation, the manipulation masked as concern. It's unraveling like old fabric that was never stitched in truth. They used your wounds to paint a story where you looked unstable, overreactive, too emotional, but now those same emotions are becoming divine evidence. Your tears, your silence, your refusal to retaliate, all of it has turned into holy receipts. They never saw it coming. And that's the beauty of the setup. While they thought they were gathering dirt on you, they were really digging their own graves. And now their reputations are shaking, their alliances are cracking, their influence is dissolving, not because you fought back in the flesh, but because you stood still long enough for the truth to speak for itself. And chosen one, don't think for a second this is coincidence. This is strategy. This is what happens when you walk with divine backing. When heaven says don't defend yourself, it's because it already has the evidence queued for release. And now those secrets, they're leaking, not through your mouth, but through life itself. You didn't need revenge, you needed revelation. And now it's here, delivered not in drama, but in divine clarity. Every setup, every sabotage, every distorted version of you, all of it was a misdirection built to distract you and catch them. And it worked, because in trying to trap you, they exposed themselves, publicly, spiritually, eternally. They're stunned, they're spinning. They don't know how the script flipped so quickly, but you do, because deep down, you always knew this wasn't just about pain, it was about prophecy. And prophecy never misses. You were never the weak one. You were the watcher, the quiet observer in a room full of performers, and they hated that. Hated how you could see through the performance, how your spirit flinched when the energy didn't match the words. So they called it paranoia, oversensitivity, drama. But the truth, you weren't reacting, you were discerning. And that scared them more than anything, because manipulators can't thrive where discernment lives. They tried to turn your grace into a weakness. They twisted your kindness into compliance. But let's be real, they never knew what to do with someone who wouldn't play the game. You wouldn't clap for false humility. You wouldn't nod along to backhanded shade. You wouldn't bend just to keep the peace. And in a world that thrives off control, your refusal to fold looked like rebellion. But it was reverence. Reverence to something higher, reverence to truth. And that truth, it's exposing them now. Because silence is a weapon they didn't understand. You didn't stay quiet because you were scared. You stayed quiet because you trusted. Trusted that God would vindicate. That the truth didn't need your defense, it had divine backing. And now your silence is screaming louder than any confrontation ever could. It's deafening. It's prophetic. It's proof. Proof that what they tried to destroy, they only ended up magnifying. They used your vulnerability as a tactic, tried to weaponize your innocence. They mocked your tears, gaslit your boundaries. played victim while casting you as the villain. But the setup was divine, because the very compassion they exploited has now become the very evidence of their corruption. You didn't retaliate, you transcended. And now they're left with a spotlight they never wanted. Look at how things have shifted. The same ones who paraded around as the morally righteous are now tripping over their own inconsistencies. Their words are catching up with them. Their alliances are backfiring. And the people they tried to recruit against you, they're starting to see the illusion is cracking. And underneath it all, there's nothing but fear. Fear that the mask won't hold. Fear that their lies won't stick this time. Fear that their empire was built on quicksand. Because it was. And the quake, it's here. You've become the mirror they can't escape. Every time they look at you, they're confronted with the reality of what they tried to manipulate. And that's the real torment. It's not just that they're being exposed, it's that you survived, that you're still here, glowing, rising, speaking when you choose to, not when you're provoked. Your silence is no longer a reaction, it's a rain. And it rattles them. Because now, they can't call you emotional. They can't say you're unstable. They can't paint you with those old brushes anymore. The canvas has changed. And in this new light, their fingerprints are everywhere. You don't even have to tell your side. Your life is telling it for you. And the irony, they wrote the story with their own hands. Chosen one, you were never the fool. You were the foil, the contrast heaven needed to bring the darkness into full view. And now the light is undeniable. They don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to undo what's been revealed. And the more they try to control the damage, and the more obvious the setup becomes. Because it was never your reputation on trial, it was their character. They thought no one was watching, that they could move in shadows, whisper in corners, smile in your face and stab in the spirit undetected. But chosen one, what they didn't know was that your life was under divine surveillance. Not the kind with cameras or microphones, the kind that logs energy, intention, vibration, the kind that records every manipulation, not in files, but in frequency. And heaven doesn't miss. The spiritual realm has eyes far sharper than anything on earth. And you were never walking through this storm alone. You were accompanied, guided, documented by forces they can't even perceive. They laughed when you said you felt spiritual attacks. They rolled their eyes when you mentioned warfare. But the warfare was real. The targeting was real. And most importantly, the recording was real. Now those same forces that watched them plot are watching their panic. The angels that stood silent during your trial are now shifting the atmosphere in your favor. The court of heaven has entered the room, and judgment, it's already begun. You remember, don't you, the sleepless nights, the prayers that turned into cries, the exhaustion that clung to your bones because you were fighting something you couldn't even name. That wasn't paranoia. That was pressure, divine pressure, because heaven was refining you and preparing the case. While they were collecting gossip, God was collecting evidence, and now the evidence is undeniable. The favor they once had is evaporating. The false light they walked in is flickering, because when the truth starts flowing, no lie can hold its form. You didn't need to expose them. All you had to do was endure, and that endurance, it became their exposure. It became the spotlight that couldn't be dimmed. It became the justice rolling down like thunder across a spiritual battlefield. They're trying to retrace their steps now, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. But they'll never find it, because what went wrong for them was trying to manipulate someone divinely protected. You don't touch the anointed and walk away clean. You don't weaponize trust and expect blessings to continue flowing. The Most High doesn't play favorites, but heaven does honor alignment, and they walk themselves right out of it. They broke spiritual contracts, violated sacred spaces, mocked your tears while pretending to be the healer, and now the sacred laws they thought didn't apply to them are collapsing the very structures they leaned on. Their words have turned against them. Their energy has gone stale. Their power is powerless, because when divine eyes are watching, everything hidden becomes visible. And here's the kicker: the more they try to hide, the more obvious it becomes. Their panic is loud. Their fear is visible. You can feel it in how they avoid you now. In the way they try to rewrite history, in the way they shift blame, redirect attention, downplay their role, but it's too late. The spiritual court has rendered the verdict and their own actions testified against them. You never had to say a word. Your integrity spoke loud enough. And now that divine eyes are focused elsewhere, you're the one being elevated, quietly, powerfully, authentically. No gimmicks, no manipulation, just truth. And it's that truth that has their knees buckling. Because they know deep down the Most High doesn't miss. And when heaven watches, it remembers. They really thought you were the one breaking down, that your silence meant surrender, that your withdrawal meant weakness. But what they never considered, what they couldn't even fathom, was that your absence was not collapse. It was calibration. Because while they were parading their masks and flexing false narratives, you were becoming the mirror. And mirrors don't break under pressure. They reveal chosen one. You weren't the target. You were the trigger. The divine reflection sent to expose everything they refused to acknowledge in themselves. And that's what made them squirm. You didn't even have to speak. Your presence alone started shaking the illusions. The truth in your eyes made their lies itch. Your love made their hate stand out. Your light cast shadows they could no longer ignore. You weren't attacking them, you were revealing them. And it made them uncomfortable, terrified, even enraged. Because you weren't reacting like they wanted you to. You didn't argue when they lied. You didn't chase them when they ghosted. You didn't try to prove your worth when they discarded you. And that restraint that scared them more than any confrontation ever could. Because deep down, they knew what they were doing. They knew they were manipulating the narrative. And when you refused to play the game, the mirror cracked them, not you. It's spiritual law when someone tries to dump their shame on you, and it doesn't stick, it rebounds. And now that shame is suffocating them. The guilt is rising. The self-deception is cracking under the weight of divine accountability. They see themselves now not through your words, but through your stillness. And what they see, it's ugly. They projected, over and over, took your empathy and turned it into a dumping ground, made you feel like their chaos was your fault, like their unhealed wounds were your responsibility. But now, without you to absorb it all, they're left with the weight of their own unprocessed truth, and it's heavy, it's loud, it's unraveling them from the inside out, because that mirror never lied. They just didn't want to see what it showed. And chosen one, you weren't sent to save them. You were sent to reflect them, to expose what they were hiding under all that ego, under all that spiritual bypassing, under all that love and light rhetoric that had no roots in real transformation. You didn't need to fight. Your existence was confrontation enough. Now they're panicking, scrambling. Some are pretending nothing happened. Some are rushing to new targets, hoping to recreate the dynamic. But it's not working, because you were the activation point. You were the sacred appointment. And without you, the energy won't move. The drama won't distract. The mask won't hold. And they know it. They're haunted. Not by you, but by what you showed them. Because when you left, you didn't just take your presence, you took the mirror. And now they're left staring at the void. And that void is asking questions they're not ready to answer. Questions like, who am I without control? What do I do when my manipulation stops working? Who will reflect my truth back to me now? And that silence. It's louder than your words ever were. You were never meant to carry their pain. You were meant to expose it. And now that the truth is out, they're finally seeing what was always there. Not your breakdown, but their own. They never expected the very fire they lit to refine you. They thought it would consume you, thought you'd fold under pressure, collapse under shame, drown in confusion. But instead that fire became your rebirth and chosen one. Let's be clear, the same affliction they sent to break you became the very activation of your ascension. What they don't understand is that spiritual power isn't born in comfort, it's born in contradiction. You were forged in the flames of betrayal. You were crowned in the silence of rejection. And now you walk with the kind of power that only comes from having nothing but your spirit intact. They thought they stripped you, but really, they peeled off everything that wasn't aligned with your next dimension. Because what they did in malice, heaven allowed in mercy. You needed that betrayal, not because you deserved the pain, but because you needed the clarity, the severance, the catalyst. Sometimes God lets the poison pour so the soul finally recognizes what it's been sipping. And they were the poison, all dressed up in spiritual language, holy talk, or fake concern, but still poison. And now that it's been purged from your life, your vision is clear, your path is straight, your energy is uncontaminated, and they feel it. They feel the difference. They can sense that the version of you they once manipulated no longer exists. You're not reactive, you're not over-explaining, you're not hoping to be understood anymore. You're just aligned. You're walking with divine detachment, and that's terrifying to those who thrived off your emotional entanglement, because they need you in chaos to feel powerful. And now that you've stepped out of the storm, their relevance is gone. Their illusion is broken. Their role in your story has expired. The power dynamic has flipped. You no longer orbit around their moods, their projections, their mind games. You're centered now, and that center is sacred. That center is sealed. It's not open for manipulation anymore. And they know it. You can hear it in the awkward pauses, the forced smiles, the sudden silence where there used to be performance. You've become too still to manipulate, too grounded to gaslight, too elevated to engage, and they hate it because they can't figure out how you healed. They don't know how you rose from ashes they scattered. They don't know how you found peace when they tried to turn your life into a battlefield. But that's the thing, they only ever understood power in terms of domination. They never understood transcendence. But that's your lane. You transcend. You evolve in silence. You grow through grief. You harvest purpose from pain. And now, everything they threw at you has become the foundation of your glow. Your discernment sharpened, your intuition razor-like, your peace untouchable. And here's the divine twist: their attack activated your anointing. You thought you were being punished, but you were being promoted. Through loss, through slander, through abandonment, you were being refined into someone they can no longer access. You no longer respond to chaos the same. You no longer beg for clarity. You are the clarity now. So let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them wrestle with the reality that their plan backfired beautifully. Because chosen one, what they meant for harm, heaven used for highlight. You feel it now, don't you? That shift in power, that spiritual realignment that puts you back in divine orbit and tossed their manipulative grip into the void. The reversal is not coming, it's here, and they're losing control. Not because you fought back in their language, but because you elevated to a realm where their tactics can't breathe. You changed frequencies, you moved out of reach, and in doing so, you flipped the entire dynamic. They used to play puppet master, pulling strings with guilt, shame, silence. But now, the strings are tangled and they're the ones trapped. Their own words are circling back. Their own actions are returning void. Every seed of confusion they planted is bearing fruit, but it's rotted from the inside. Because they didn't know the soil they were working with was holy. And holy ground doesn't grow deception, it exposes it. They thought you were still playing their game, but you left the arena. You stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped entertaining the accusations, the projections, the spiritual guilt tripping. And the minute you stepped out of that cycle, the whole structure started crumbling. Why? Because your participation was the only thing keeping it alive. You were the fuel, the anchor, the light source they depended on while pretending you were the problem. And now that you've unplugged, darkness is all they see. They're spiraling, trying to reframe the narrative, desperate to reclaim the version of you that used to apologize for things that weren't your fault. But that version is gone, dead and resurrected, buried beneath layers of discernment and resurrected in sovereign fire. You don't react, you discern. You don't defend, you reveal. And that terrifies them more than anything. Because now the truth is wearing your face. Every room you enter carries the energy of alignment, of peace, of power. And that energy exposes everything out of order. Without you saying a word, your very presence tells on them. You don't even have to call it out, your spirit already did. You're calm now, silent, not from fear, but from mastery. You've seen the patterns, you've mapped the matrix. You've recognized the illusion for what it was, a desperate attempt to control what they could never create. Your soul. They couldn't handle your freedom, so they tried to cage you with narratives. But that cage, it's shattered, and the fragments are cutting them now. They're stuck in a loop of their own making. While you soar, they scramble. While you align, they distort. While you expand, they shrink. Because everything they did to contain you is now backfiring with precision. Every trap, every smear, every attempt to control your image, it's all collapsing under the weight of divine truth. And here's the irony in trying to silence you. They made your presence louder. In trying to discredit you, they made your authenticity undeniable. In trying to break you, they revealed how unbreakable you really are. Chosen one, you were never fragile. You were just strategic. You watched, you waited, you healed in shadows, you grew in silence. And now you walk with the kind of power that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't beg. You just exist, authentically, anointed. And they don't know what to do with that, because the reversal wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was divine. And now, the ones who tried to control the narrative are prisoners to the very lies they told. They're trapped, and you're finally free. The harvest is here now, and the reaping isn't what they prayed for. The very seeds they scattered with bad intention behind your back, in secret rooms, with double-tongued words, are bearing fruit. But it's bitter, because karma doesn't miss. It might wait, it might watch, but when it moves with surgical precision. And chosen one, you're watching the beginning of their karmic return unfold in real time. They're unraveling, and they don't know why. Relationships falling apart, opportunities drying up, energy turning heavy and dense. But deep down, their soul knows. It knows that the energy they threw at you was sacredly marked, and now it's coming back around, not just to balance the scale, but to teach them the lesson they refused to learn. Because they didn't just hurt you, they mocked divinity in motion. Remember how they smiled while twisting the knife, how they made you the villain for feeling the pain they caused. That cruelty wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. They didn't understand that when you target a chosen one, you're not just hurting a person, you're striking at divine instruction, and heaven takes that personally. Now their house of cards is folding, slowly, beautifully. Each collapse revealing another lie, each exposure unveiling a deeper truth. The facade is fading, and the masks, they're melting. What once looked powerful is now pathetic. What once looked confident is now desperate. What once felt untouchable is now crumbling in their hands. They can't run from it. The energy is circling back too quickly. People are asking questions. Patterns are being noticed. The smear campaigns they launched are boomeranging, and now they're the ones being avoided, side-eyed, doubted. The roles have reversed, and they don't even recognize the script anymore. But you do, because this is the scene heaven showed you in glimpses. Those moments you felt crazy, paranoid, or overly emotional. That was your spirit seeing this moment ahead of time. This was always coming. The universe was never going to let them walk off the stage with your crown. It just waited until the audience was big enough for the unveiling. And now the unveiling is here. Their tactics have stopped working. The emotional hooks they used to pull you in are now exposed for what they are: spiritual manipulation. Their control is gone. Their influence is fading. And the peace you walk in now, it's a sword. It slices through every lie without you even lifting a hand. You don't need revenge. Your radiance is enough. They look at you now and see everything they tried to keep you from becoming: centered, unshaken, elevated. And there's a pain in that recognition. a regret, because they thought taking from you would keep you small. But all it did was stretch you, push you, teach you, and now you're too wise to fall for their chaos again, too grounded to entertain their noise, too anointed to ever be used like that again. They're watching you ascend in silence, and that silence is the loudest sermon they've ever heard. No word, just energy. No drama, just elevation. You don't need to post receipts, you are the receipt. You've become the living evidence that truth doesn't need to scream to be heard. And while they deal with the mess they made, you're rising into everything they said you'd never become. This is divine irony, and it's holy. You walk different now, not just physically, spiritually, energetically. You carry the kind of stillness that makes chaos uncomfortable, the kind of discernment that sees through smiles, through tone, through silence itself. You're no longer trying to decode people's behavior, your spirit just knows. And that knowing that scares them. Because once you know, you can't be manipulated. They feel it. Oh, they feel it every time they enter a room with you. The power shift is tangible. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to prove a point. You are the point. The very presence of your healed self is a confrontation. Your peace is a rebuke. Your confidence is a mirror, and it's showing them exactly what they're missing. They used to bank on your confusion, your over-explaining, your deep need to be understood. But you've been refined. You no longer argue with projections. You don't dance with deception. You stand, rooted in truth, and let the noise collapse around you. And the irony, you never had to become someone new. You just had to return to who you were before the trauma taught you to shrink. They thought they could keep you trapped in that old version of yourself. The one who second-guessed everything. The one who overgave, over-apologized, and undervalued their own discernment. But that version has transcended. That version has ascended. And what's left is a vessel so aligned with the divine that nothing false can stick to you anymore. And baby, they're scrambling. Because your very existence challenges their narrative. The story they built around your name no longer fits. And trying to wear it now, it looks ridiculous. They're grasping, reaching for explanations. But the truth is written all over your glow, all over your energy. You don't even need to say, "I told you," so your peace says it for you. You walk like someone who's seen the blueprint, like someone who's been through the fire and came out drenched in purpose. You don't chase anymore. You attract, you align, you receive. You've stepped into the divine flow where your energy is currency and your presence is prophecy. And anyone who mishandled you in the past, they feel that absence now, deeply, desperately, and for many, silently. Because pride won't let them admit the truth their spirit already knows you were the blessing, the covering, the anointing they thought they could control. And now they're haunted by that absence. Not because they lost control over you, but because they lost access to what God had placed within you. You weren't just another connection. You were an assignment, a test, a mirror, a lesson. And when they failed to honor that, the consequence wasn't just disconnection, it was disqualification. They see you now, walking with sacred boundaries, moving with divine ease. You're not the same. Not bitter, just better. Not cold, just clear. And that clarity, it's protection. It's what guards your space now. You no longer let people in based on potential, you read patterns. You trust energy, not excuses. You follow peace, not pressure. You've leveled up, and they feel it in every part of their being. Because they thought you'd come back weaker, but you came back wiser. This was never a punishment. It was prophecy in disguise. Every betrayal, every whisper campaign, every closed door was part of a sovereign orchestration to position you for your emergence. What they meant as an ending was really the engine of your evolution. And now the truth is echoing louder than any of their lies ever could. This was never a setup for you. It was a setup for them. Chosen one. The Most High used their schemes to stage your ascension. Not in a theatrical, ego-driven way, but in the quiet power of divine strategy. Heaven watched them try to distort your image, undermine your spirit, rewrite your story, and heaven waited until the fullness of time, until the audience was gathered, until the false narratives grew so thick that your silence would become the thunderclap of truth. And now the truth is unmistakable. It's in your glow, in your wisdom, in the way you speak now from the gut, from the soul, from the mountain you climbed, not the valley they left you in. You carry weight now. Not the weight of trauma, but the weight of testimony. You walk in rooms differently because you know you're not just another soul. You're an oracle in motion, a walking prophecy, a living reversal. You are evidence that divine justice doesn't come when we want it, comes when we're ready. And now you're ready, not for revenge, not for validation, but for assignment, for alignment, for destiny. You see clearly now, the veil is gone, the soul ties are severed. The inner noise they implanted with doubt and confusion silenced, and what remains is clean, untouchable, ordained. They thought they could stop you with slander, but all they did was spotlight you. They thought they could delay you with distractions, but all they did was push you into deeper focus. They thought they could detour your destiny, but the detour was the destiny, because this wasn't just a takedown. This was a turnaround. Everything has reversed. The narratives, the power dynamics, the perception. You're no longer trying to explain your soul to people who were never meant to understand it. You've released the need to be liked, the burden to be seen. You see yourself now, fully, and that self-recognition. It's spiritual liberation. And those who mishandled you, they know it's over. Not just relationally, energetically, spiritually, cosmically. The access has been revoked, the season has closed, and the grace they once benefited from, simply by being near you, lifted, and they feel the absence. Not in a petty way, in a prophetic way, because they now recognize the covering they rejected, the light they tried to dim, the voice they tried to silence. But you can't silence what heaven has amplified. You can't curse what's already been called. You can't stop what's been written. So walk tall now, chosen one, not in arrogance, but in sacred remembrance. Walk with the awareness that your journey, all of it, was divinely authored. That every plot against you was secretly fueling your emergence. That every enemy was unknowingly participating in their own unraveling. You weren't set up to fail. You were set up to reign. And those who tried to sabotage you, they were simply hired by heaven to reveal themselves. And now that the revelation has happened, the path is clear, your tribe is forming, your gifts are activated, your calling is in motion. You're no longer hiding, you're no longer shrinking, you're soaring. Because what they tried to bury wasn't a body, it was a seed. And look at you now, you bloomed. Take a breath. Let this truth settle in your spirit. You've made it through what was designed to break you. You stood in the fire and came out carrying flames of wisdom. You didn't retaliate, you rose. And now the ones who tried to write your ending are watching your new beginning. In silence, in awe, in regret. Chosen one. Your story is a reminder that divine justice doesn't rush, it builds. And when it lands, it doesn't just restore what was lost, it reveals why it had to be taken. You see the architecture now, the blueprint, the divine choreography behind every delay, every betrayal, every silence. None of it was wasted. All of it was preparing you to become who you truly are. Let this wind down be your confirmation. It was never about punishment. It was always about purpose. The people who tried to define you are now being redefined by their own actions. The truth is standing tall, without you having to shout. Because when God writes the narrative, your only job is to live it out. So hold your head high, rest in your peace. Know that what they meant as the end was the exact moment heaven began turning the page. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't just awaken, you arrived. And now you walk in prophecy fulfilled.